really going to meetings, and I started to feel sorry for myself. I wasn't using anything in my new toolbox. I was starting to go to my old toolbox where I was pulling out the excuses and the self-pity and the I'm different. And then the thought started to pop in my head that, well, what's wrong with using? Maybe there isn't something wrong with using. Now I got, so much more in my life sorted out that, maybe I could use, successfully. And then what I immediately did was, called up a friend who knows me and, talked and, went to a meeting and, that went away.
Internal and external triggers can still bring on strong cravings for people in early recovery. It's important to have a number of techniques at your disposal when faced with a trigger.
Sometimes people will talk about their war stories, meaning they're back their using days, and that's a big trigger for me. I think we all get involved in wanting to prove to each other that we're addicts. I think we have something to prove. And so we'll get involved in talking about our drug use, how much, how good it was, what we did, how often we did it. Physically, I start getting edgy sometimes when I'm involved in war stories with people. I will start pacing, my heart starts racing. I do get some physical symptoms of it. Besides the mental obsession, that's all I can think about. That's when I use prayer to kind of help relieve me of the obsession and the craving for the drug.
The internet would be a big trigger for me. Chat rooms, sites that let people hook up for sex tend to be crowded with people who are using crystal meth. And so I use the internet only at work and to get my email, and I just stay away from it.
Sometimes it's just telling myself to stop thinking about that. Sometimes I will think it all the way through. I'll think about, okay, that was great, but where did it lead me? Or what would have happened? What was the end result? And the end was never pretty. So sometimes that helps me.
So in a way, one can say that all the coping techniques, all the new skills that you need to learn and to reinstill in your life or instill into your life is a way to recondition your brain, to get your brain functioning in the way it was supposed to function, with the higher part of the brain being the driver, being the part of the brain that drives your behavior instead of the lower part of the brain, which is important but is not supposed to be calling the shots.
I haven't met a lot of meth addicts that are like, I went to any lengths possible, I got a sponsor, worked the steps, and I'm using. It's usually, I half-assed it, and I really wanted it. And anyone can have recovery.
We know that addiction is literally a chronic disease of the brain. But like other chronic diseases that we suffer from, such as asthma and diabetes, it is very manageable. And in fact, it responds better to treatment than most other chronic diseases we know of.
If I make this a disease and I realize that that's what it is, then I'm not the bad guy anymore, and that I'm fighting against my disease, and I'm not fighting against myself.
I kind of look at it differently now. I'm a person in recovery. Once I had accepted my disease and realized that I was in recovery, it's easy to do the steps necessary to want to heal myself and become healthy.
I think excuses keep us sick. I just think the biggest thing for me in my recovery was to realize that once I started, I could not stop, and I had this mental obsession to go use that normal people don't have, that people without the disease of addiction, they do not have this. And I think that's what really helped me to understand.
Even in recovery, there can be long-lasting physical and mental effects from using meth.
There's fairly recent research that indicates that methamphetamine is particularly damaging to the actual cells in the brain, the neurons in the brain. It causes changes in the structures of the cells that actually may take a relatively long time to heal. It appears that they do heal over time, these breaks in the cellular structure, but we're not sure if they're healing exactly in the right way. We don't know that yet, but we do know that it can take up to 2 years for the damage to heal itself in the brain. There appears to be some fetal damage that happens to children in utero, and that may result in things like attention deficit disorder and hyperactivity and learning disabilities later on. And we're looking at some of that data too and starting to think that there may be some connections there.
A lot of the immediate symptoms of my use cleared up right away. The bruising went away, the hair started coming back in. And further into my recovery, other people that could notice a change in me that I could not see in myself. I've seen that of course, I still get anxious, but it's fewer and far in between and not over the smallest things like it used to be. My anxiety level has gone way down.
Use of crystal meth was really harmful for my teeth. I've had, had to have several teeth, either, crowns put on them, real serious dental work done from grinding, from the effects of smoking it. And so that's been an ongoing physical part. But more for me, the use of meth really took away a lot of I felt, mental faculties. At this point in my recovery, coming up on 2 years sober, I feel that as though that it is now that I'm just finally back to where my brain was at prior to using.
Physically today, I feel healthy. I mean, cracked out is not hot. It just ain't. Getting high on meth and thinking you look good, you really don't. For me, I never really did look good. I had this delusion that I looked good. I was, the rib cage ain't a hot look, and looking back, I thought, I look okay, but really, I just look sick and paranoid and uncomfortable in my skin.
Those emotions that were completely void when I was when I was using crystal meth have come back. Today, I can say that I'm able to experience, happiness, joy, sadness, anger, all those things that I experienced prior to using, and I can say that in recovery, for me, I'm able to understand those emotions a little bit better and not react to them the way I did in the past.
It wasn't until I got a year and a half, 2 years clean that I realized how much better sex was. It can be loving, it can be supportive, my idea of what intimacy was in sex and with meth became so skewed. It just became so narrow, and really it's unlimited.
There's the obvious things that come with being sober, no legal troubles, I can keep a job, those sort of things. But there are things that are happening in my life that I didn't even dream possible. The friendships that I have now are deep and meaningful, and I can actually talk to people. And people really care about me, and I care about other people, and not because of what I can get from them, but what I can give to them.
I tried to live my life today, and I don't think a lot about how horrible it was when I was dying alone, using drugs. I've lost those feelings of self-loathing, and it's been a long time since I've wanted to die. And I certainly have a lot to live for.
I think I can see a clear vision of the person I want to be, which before there was, I didn't even know who I was. It's also helping me, in seeing other people in recovery, I'm seeing who other people are and how, that I can be that, I can achieve that. And so, am I the person I want to be? Not yet, but do I have an idea of who that person is and who that guy can be? Absolutely.